Welcome to Sold with Webinars, a podcast that aims to uncover how the most successful experts, coaches, consultants, and e-course professionals sell their products and services with just one sales presentation or webinar. A simple sales webinar can transform the business and life of a solopreneur. And this podcast will show you how other experts just like you are generating 6 and 7 figures per year online with their webinars. So let's get started. Hey, it's Joel Irway here, and thanks for tuning into another episode of Sold with Webinars. We have something incredible that we're doing today that we have never done before. I'm super excited. We have our very first case study of somebody who has been implementing, of 2 people actually, that have been implementing everything they've been learning from Sold with Webinars and have now built a webinar that is well on pace to do $1 million a year. They've already collected more than $250,000, and they are only going up from here. Today, we speak with my good friends Mike and AJ, Mike Schmidt and Anthony Rivera, who have been listening to this podcast and implementing everything that they've been learning from episode to episode and turning their webinars into high-converting sales machines. And so today's episode is all about interviewing what did they learn, what episodes did they enjoy, and what did they actually take and implement into their webinars to make them high-converting sales machines. Enjoy this episode, and I really hope that I can interview you on the next case study podcast. Mike Schmidt and AJ Rivera, welcome to the show, guys.
Awesome, Joel. Thanks so much for having us. Like you said, we've been listening to the podcast since you put it up, and there is just so much cool stuff. Getting behind the scenes looks at people's numbers. Like right before we came on, AJ was asking me, like, is there anything we should, angles we should take or anything that we want to, is kind of private info or whatever. Right. And I was thinking about it for a second. It's people who come on this thing, are really open about what they do. And I've learned so much. And I promise you today that, we're going to tell everybody exactly what we're doing. So that way, maybe there's just one small idea someone can take away from what we're doing that's going to help them go, because there's been so many people, you included in the podcast, that have allowed us to stack basically our what we have now and actually have it something that's a real business for us, it's real. That's the best way I can describe it. Before had all been pipe dreams and wishes and aspirations and hopes, and now it's here, which is cool.
That's so cool, guys. I'm really excited to chat about this. And why don't we do a quick intro, talk about who you guys are, what's the business that you guys are in, and just give them a quick intro about the nature of what you guys do. And then we'll jump into our little first ever Sold with Webinars podcast case study.
Case study, numero uno. Sweet. So again, my name is Mike Schmidt. My partner, Anthony Rivera. We own a business called Anchor Wave Internet Solutions, the website design, a digital marketing agency based in Tucson, Arizona. Right outside my office door here, we've got a team of 20 people who basically build websites and help local businesses market online. And so we've done that really well. We've had a really strong, solid business around that. It's something we're really passionate about, really love doing. And in the process, we've learned a hell of a lot about running an agency and how to build sales and how to manage projects and how to keep clients happy, how to hire, how to keep your team happy, how to just build something that is sustainable and growing. And today is our 15th anniversary in business.
Nice.
Which is cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, which is in that time, we've learned a lot of things. And so we've been working towards building what we call kind of our education business for a while, trying to figure out how we can take this 15 years of knowledge and build it in a way that we can share that with a community of web designers, digital marketers, PR professionals, people who are professionals at getting their clients the results through the work that they do. And when we started, there was a site called, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but it's called sitepoint.com. Still around, but I think it's a shadow of what it was, at least to me when it was there. But it was the only place you could go to for education for running a web business. And what was the name of the?
Was it the Web Design Blueprint or Blueprint or
Kit
or something?
Yeah, Web Design Business Kit. And it's somewhere here in my office. I think it's somewhere here. We still have it. It was a $600 product, a binder full of basically operations and procedures basically be for any company, but like they kind of branded it for like web design clients and creative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was like my go-to for like figuring out how. And this is before Anthony and I even met. Like when we met, we were like talking.
I had purchased it too because I was kind of starting my own agency as well back in the day, and I purchased the same thing, so we're both super familiar with it.
Yeah, so like that was the only thing we had. So like we're just trying to figure out like how we can give that same stuff back. And so we have not gone through. I won't like go through everything we've gone through, but I do want to say that for the person that's listening to this that feels like they've tried everything and they've gone every different angle and they've been somewhat successful in some things and totally flopped in others. And there's been times where you like thought this was the thing, and you finally arrived only to be like have the door shut in your face, like we have. Like that has been our experience. So where we're at today, fast forward, like that was a quick little journey through our trials and tribulations, right? Fast forward to today, we have a product, a community called Agency Mastermind, and a product that we teach called ReviewPro Launchpad. And it's really, we took the most single most effective piece of our agency business, sliced it out, packaged it up, and are teaching that now to people. What that is we as an agency help our clients get 5-star reviews for their business, predominantly local businesses. And what we realized is that helping a business get 5-star reviews is the awesome entry point for any creative or marketing agency. Like, Russell Brunson talks a lot about the value ladder, right? And the value ladder, the concept is what product you start with and then what you sell them next, because it's 6 times easier to sell to somebody that already has done business with you than somebody who's never bought from you, like cold traffic. Mm-hmm. So what would happen is people would come to us as our web design company and say, hey, Mike, I know you can build a website for me. And say, sure. They'd say, well, how much? And I'd say, here's the investment. And they'd either say yes or they say no to that. The ones that said no would go somewhere else or do something else. I don't know. The ones that said yes, I would build a website for, they'd pay me. And then they got to send my value ladder, right? So the object of the game was the more people I could get into my value ladder, the more people I could sell a website to, the more people I could sell other stuff to, right? Like that's the basics. And we built a really strong, really good business based off of that. What we realized though is if we could put reviews and reputation below that as our bottom level, there's so many more businesses that need our help with it and are willing to talk with us about it. It's a lower price point. So we're getting more people in at that bottom step. And, we're even talking to people who they already have a web design company. They have somebody in-house that's doing it, yet they're still willing to talk to us about that. When before, if I went to that same company and said, hey, can I help you with the website? They'd be like, no, we got a guy. We're good, Mike. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I say, hey, do you realize that in the last 90 days, you guys have gotten killed on your reviews? And if I showed you a way that we could literally flood Google, Yelp, Facebook, and a bunch of others with 5-star reviews, would you be interested in hearing about it? And you can bet that same person would totally take the time to do that. And that's been our secret weapon. We're getting into opportunities that we wouldn't otherwise have. So we've taken that process, how to do that, the proposals we use, our prospecting methods. In fact, one of the prospecting methods we just added to our course the other day was a process that in a 1-hour meeting got us 61 leads, people raising their hands saying, yes, I want help with this, like in a live meeting.
That's awesome.
Which is crazy. So like this has been a really game changer for our agency. And now we're building a community, a tribe of people who are being impacted positively because they finally have something that they're profitable at on the front end. And they're able to use that to grow the rest of their agency, no matter what their expertise is, which is just really, really exciting. So
yeah, this is really cool because it gets really quick results. Like typically our clients, when we launch a campaign, they're getting results within like 24 hours or usually within a month for sure. And so that builds a lot of trust, right? When you're able to just knock it out of the park. And now when you go back to them, they're a lot more willing to listen to what you suggest next.
So the webinar that you guys ran is to teach people how to do what you guys are doing as an agency, right?
Correct.
So to allow other agency owners, freelancers, or professionals to include this as a service to show them how you guys have gotten a lot of success and the whole 9 yards.
Big time. You got it.
So one of the cool things about that angle, and I've discovered this through number 1, trial and error, number 2, talking to super successful people like yourself and other people on the podcast, is that there's 2 angles that you can take with that type of offer. And this works for a lot of people when you're serving the B2B niche, right? Mm-hmm. So you could take the angle of doing a webinar or doing some sort of promotion where it's like, hey, I want to show you like if you're trying to productize your service, like the one angle that you could take is, oh, I want to show you how to, like rather than hiring us as a service, let me sell you a program and how you can do it yourself. And a lot of people go that route and go that angle. And like, oh, I've got a course and a program. I want to sell it to the same customers who I'm doing this as a service for. And it's not effective. They struggle really, really hard. They struggle a lot with it. And it's because of the fact that like people don't really want to do it themselves. Like if there's a service out there, they really don't want to do it themselves as much as it sounds sexy to do it. But the flip side is if you now go to the market as, I'm going to show you how you can sell this to other people. We made that switch with our webinar. We were struggling last year to sell our webinar program. Hey, how to build a 7-figure webinar for yourself. We sold some, but like it wasn't profitable. And I'm like, what on earth are we doing wrong? But when we flipped it and said, let me show you how you can write 7-figure webinars to other people and charge more, get paid 5 figures to write 7-figure webinars for other people, man, the floodgates opened up. And it's like,
opportunity.
Yeah, it's a business opportunity. It seems it was a very, very simple switch, but like it took us a long freaking time to figure it out. So anyway, I love what you guys are doing.
That's really important because it's like you may be really close to something and you just need to change the positioning of who you're selling it to. And you might just be like one step away from that, one reframe away. And that's something we've had to do.
And we had actually thought about doing that, teaching our clients or people like our clients to do their own Facebook ads, right? And we started basically pre-selling it. Like whenever we've thought of an idea, I've gone out and tried to sell that just over the phone, kind of with people. And if we can sell it, then we'll move forward. But if not, then we won't. And that particular one didn't.
We had a lot of people raise their hand and say, yeah, we're interested in that. But we had 1 or 2 people actually pay us to do it.
Right.
And so we ended up refunding like both of those people because it didn't make sense. So then we moved it up the chain to somebody else, to 8 other agencies, teaching them how to do something. And it's been really good.
So let's now talk about your webinar, right? So you got your product, got your offer that's crushed it, right? But obviously didn't start out crushing it, but you knew that it had some legs, right? So take us back to the journey. When did this all start, this program that you're now selling to other agencies?
So, I mean, I'd say probably the first thing, I don't know if there's something earlier that you want to talk about, but like originally, one of the biggest things we changed to really light this thing on fire was, at first we were really transparent about what it was we were teaching on the webinar.
Right.
So we were saying, hey, come on this webinar where we're going to show you how to use reviews to grow your agency. And guess what happened? Like everyone's like, yeah, no, that sounds boring. And
I already do reviews. I already know about that. I already tried that. I already offer that service. So,
And honestly, it was Anthony's idea to do this, and I fought it for a little bit. And from that, I learned I just need to be more trusting of Anthony's opinions and be like, hey, no, let's test it. Go for it. So what we did was we got really curiosity based with it. And instead of saying using reviews, we saying we added this one simple service to add a bunch of money to our agency. And then we had to go out of our way to say what it wasn't, because everyone like in our space was assuming it was going to be Facebook ads, or it's going to be pay-per-click, or it's going to be websites or consultations, or all these things, these angles that like people would assume. And like we don't obviously say it's not reviews because it is reviews, but like nobody guesses that. Like, and the ads that we're running to drive traffic, like people like make a game out of like guessing what it is, and it's amazing how often they don't guess. Right.
All right. So hey, let me just pause you real quick, because I want to make sure I'm understanding the flow. So the first big change that you made was you changed it to be curiosity based. So in your ads, explain what's the message in the ad to get them to register.
So it's really all built around the value ladder, just like Mike explained it. We're saying, hey, this is where typically people would come in with a web design, then we'll do SEO or do Facebook ads or whatever else, right? And he said, I discovered this initial step, and there's a question mark there. And I found that I can get a ton of people to go into this step. And the more people I can get in there, the more people I can set up, right? So if you want to know what this is, come join us. We're going to talk to you all about what that service is. And that's where the curiosity is created.
Okay, cool. So you're actually saying, like, if you want to know what that step is, come onto the webinar and I'll show you what it is. Okay, awesome. So you don't ever tell them until they get onto the webinar.
Yeah. And that helped with not only our cost per lead going down, but also the show rate. Because I think when they knew it was reviews, even if they thought maybe there's a different angle or something, that reminder comes up and they're busy. They're like, I already know what it is, So I think that curiosity gets to people and they want to, find out what it is. We actually see at the point Mike mentions it, sometimes there's a little bit of a drop off just because they still like right after he mentions it, we say, and you might be thinking, you already do this. You might be thinking, and I do say it, but all these things of reasons why they might hang up at that point. But, Mike says, if you don't have this fire in your gut about why this is awesome, then you need to stay on because you might be doing it wrong, right?
Awesome. So none of your pre-warm-up emails, none of your indoctrination emails say what it is.
No, I mean, the only way they could figure it out is if they actually paid attention to what the domain name said, because it says ReviewPro Launchpad.com. So, there's the dead giveaway right there, but still.
And it's probably mentions it. And we've thought about taking it off and putting it on something more generic, but it's left it.
Yeah, probably about 20 minutes in is when I actually reveal what it is after my story and all this stuff. So, and I even acknowledge that. I'm like, thank you for not virtually punching me in the face for dragging it out this long. And
some people get so upset. Yeah. Some people get so upset in the comments.
But that's good. That upset is they're engaged at that point. So
when you say they get so upset, why do they get upset?
They just they're like, just tell us already. Why are you going to make us wait till next Wednesday because it's a live webinar? I want to know now. And it's just, they're not patient.
So I got to tell you, nobody that I've interviewed has really drugged the curiosity factor. I mean, maybe they'll do some ads or something, but they don't drag it out that long. I'm not saying this, it clearly works. Your show up rates, we'll talk about this in a second. Your show up rates are extremely high. But that's cool. That's really cool. I mean,
overall, there's been no downsides to it. The only challenge it presents is we have to be thoughtful about the other content that we put out there. There's just stuff that's all automated and ready to go. But now we're at a point where I want to create more of a brand around me and Agency Mastermind. So that way, I can be seen as a more trustworthy individual in the space. And if all I'm talking about is reviews and all my other stuff, then they're going to be like, well, Mike's curiosity based over here. And then all he talks about over there is reviews. So I wonder what it is. But so generally we're just having to be a little bit more broad about just our experience in running an agency, hiring people, helping clients and all that stuff. So I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to work as well as it did. And it has really been what sparked everything else that's been helpful. Just getting that cost per lead down. We were looking at cost per leads around $21, $22. And we dropped that to what our best
$6. 3 to 6 is
3 to 6. And it varied. If you run ads for registrants, that it jumps all over the place and it's a constant battle. But for us to go immediately from 21 to 6 was a game changer for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because it made the math work.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's so much focus on the cost per lead. It's not a vanity metric, but it's not the number that you really should be focused on. And it's hard to say that you shouldn't be focused on it until you start making sales. Because okay, well, what other number? And if I haven't started selling it yet, what other number am I going to look at? So
I mean, that's actually led us through a continual optimization of all these numbers. What's our cost per registrant? And what is our show percentage, and how do we get that to be awesome? And then how do we get our purchases on the call and our follow-ups and all that? It's just little bit by bit.
So the first iteration before you even made the changes to the curiosity-based ads, were you guys profitable? I mean, were you making any sales, or was it?
Yeah, it was probably two times ad spend.
Okay, so you were losing money.
So it was hit and miss, right? So when we have 3 times ad spend, the next week we barely got our money back, because
you're making
yeah,
got it. So you're making 2 times the return on your ad spend.
Yeah.
So this is before you dropped your cost per lead.
Correct.
That's actually not that bad.
I was just thinking people probably listen to this being he's upset that he 2x'd his ad spend.
Right.
Who is this? Well, yeah, when you're 7 or 8xing it now, it's totally.
Cool. Okay, so you went curiosity based, and that dropped your cost per lead.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your webinar now. So, you're doing 2x return on your ad spend. When was the next time that you saw what's your typical conversion rate on your webinar, and what were some of the optimization things that you saw make the biggest tick there?
We convert about 11% of people that show up. We convert anywhere from 3 to 5% of registrants.
That's awesome. I mean, 3 to 5% cold traffic registrants on a $1,000 offer.
Yeah,
we like it.
Yeah, I mean, so to give you guys some perspective, we've had $1 million webinars converting at 1% with a $1,000 offer. So
Sweet.
There you go.
I mean, I'd say our biggest challenge right now is just the scaling aspect, which I'm sure we can get to a little bit later as we go through this. But yeah, now that's where our focus is. How do we just play the numbers game with this and leverage the math formula that we built for ourselves here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's always the number one question after you've got a successful webinar. Right. So what were the big things that you did inside of your webinar that affected the change?
So there's probably a couple things. Like there's a category of, actually I want to talk about something very specific. So one of the interviews you did here with Dan Henry, mm-hmm. really, really enlightening to us in that, like I'd seen his webinar, but I didn't really understand the magic behind it until I listened here. So it was really cool to be able to have this as a resource to like understand like the play-by-play, like so cool. And one of the things he does, and we now do, is we have a moment in the webinar where I actually give them a little bit of homework to do. And I asked them to post a Facebook comment on their personal feed regarding the service that we're offering. It's 3 sentences. And when they post that, it's going to show them that they have people in their world that want their help with reviews and reputation. And Dan does something similar in terms of he wants to run an experiment with, doing a Facebook ads test for somebody mm-hmm. interested. We're doing basically the same thing. Hey, we want to run an experiment around reviews and reputation. Who is interested? And what ends up happening is I convince people to post this on their wall, and we have people in the webinar that are actually getting leads and opportunities for the service that we're about to sell them the course to. So it's amazing, right?
They get super excited. Like right when they get it, like we've had people that get their first one in under a minute. We had a girl that got 16 leads.
Wow.
Webinar. Yeah. So you can imagine they just see all that opportunity and they're ready to move forward, right?
Yeah, and that's allowed me to like say things about the webinar and our other lead ups to it that's totally honest and true, which is like, this isn't one of those webinars you're going to get on where you hear a lot of good ideas but nothing actionable. You're going to leave, like many other people before you have, with leads and opportunities for this service. Like you can come here, learn something, and go away, like and really benefit from it. Like this isn't something where it's
people you built a ton of goodwill with them.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. So that's been really a strong thing, and that's because of what we heard Dan talk about on this podcast. And we went back and said, how can we structure that in a way that does the same thing for us? So I told Dan recently that our webinar stinks like Dan Henry. So like he's influenced it quite a bit. And there's some other things that he's done that in his that I thought was really strong as well.
So when you first did that in your first webinar, did you see a noticeable boost in sales?
In the beginning, it's really easy to like do a bunch of tests at once, right? Like we're going to add this Dan thing, and then we're going to change our follow-up sequence, and then we're going to also do this, and we do all these things at the same time because like we were in a race against time. Like we need to make this work. Whereas now that we've got more predictability in it, it's a lot easier for us to say we're going to test this one thing this week. We're going to change the registration page. We're going to change this ad, and we can actually be methodical. I've heard people on this podcast that they have I forget who has their spreadsheet, and they track where they're at right now, what they think's going to happen. And we have a spreadsheet like that now.
Yeah.
But like back at the time when we were making these changes, like we didn't do that at all. We're just like, all right, let's throw everything we think is a good idea at this and let's see what works. And so I can't really tell you whether or not like that one thing did. I just know because it feels good.
Different energy in the chat room, when they're getting leads and they're celebrating it. Mike's mentioned like this guy just got 3 leads, and
Todd just got 8 leads from this. That's awesome, Todd. Anybody else get leads from this? Like who else has got leads from that? Mm-hmm. Like awesome, Todd. I think you're the record. You said 2 minutes. Like that's really quick.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah. So now when we do changes, though, we do target like all the different metrics. We might try one thing that's going to impact cost related, one thing that's going to impact show rate, one thing, we try to hit as many of those as we can because we know the impact of like affecting each of those variables is huge, right?
Mm-hmm. So the interview with Dan Henry made a big impact. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about another metric that I'm pretty impressed with, which is your show up rate. So you said right now you're doing 30 to 35% attendance rate on your live webinars?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so take me through the progression and like what episodes, if you can remember, helped influence your boosting your show up rate.
From the ManyChat stuff, I think you had Molly on.
Yep, with Molly, she was a rock star. Yep.
Yeah. So
I'll tell you all the things we're doing, and like I apologize if I can't give the right person the right credit for these things because I know there's been a lot. But when somebody registers, they're getting, of course, an email sequence from us. Like it's basically like 3 emails, and like you pointed out before, we're not being super forthcoming about what it is we're teaching, because we're still maintaining that curiosity angle. What we're also doing is on the thank you page of the registration, we have a ManyChat button that says, and it's a text that says, we'd like to invite you to join our Facebook group, but only in the next 3 minutes. So we get a 3-minute countdown timer. And so they click on the button, which is the ManyChat button, which starts the sequence of inviting them into our group. And so inside the Messenger bot, we're basically asking them a couple questions. First, we ask them just like for their email address.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing that because we want to tie this ManyChat user with the email address that we have, so we know that we can then target them and send them like automated stuff at certain times. Like that's the trick there. As soon as they give us that, then we say, oh, here's the link to the group, and they have to request access. Like it's not like on that side. And then we say, hey, the webinar's not till Wednesday, and wanted to know if you'd like, don't want to wait till Wednesday. Would you be interested in watching a pre-recorded replay from another week? And if they click yes, they're then given a link to a page, and this page is not the replay, but it is a order page. For $3, we will let them watch the replay.
Interesting.
And I can't say that we have like a ton of people take advantage of this, but I see $3 sales like coming through consistently throughout the week, because for that person who really wants to watch it and is really gonna like, I want to put a little bit of a financial barrier between them and this thing, because if I give them the replay right then, they're going to be like, cool, stuff it in their pocket, walk away and forget about it, right? But if I make them pay $3, the likelihood of them watching it increases.
That's awesome. That's cool.
And I wish I had more info about like the conversion on that group of people or not.
I can figure that out.
Yeah. We just haven't looked at it because the rest of our numbers have been like super strong. But it's an area for us to go back and like say,
I would love to know like how many of those people who buy that $3 replay, I mean, do they put in any sort of countdown sequence after they buy it, or is they're in the same live webinar sequence?
They'll still get all that same stuff. They just happen to get special instant access replay.
Yeah, and it's been cool because a lot of people, it's like if you do an evergreen, people complain that it's evergreen, right? If you do live, then they're like, I got to wait this many days, so either way. But this is like a good balance. Like if you don't want to wait, you have an option there. You can watch it now,
Right.
So.
Nice. And it's not about us taking $3 from you, because trust me, that ain't helping anybody. Yeah. That's just a test of how serious you are about doing that.
Doesn't even recoup the registration cost.
Yeah, right. Right. So it's because we know we can convert them better around there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So then also in that sequence of getting them to show up, we have a text message reminder, which is pretty standard. And then we also do a voicemail drop using Sly Broadcast. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a pre-recorded voicemail that it leaves the voicemail on their phone without it ringing. Like I don't know how they do it, and it's like shows up as a missed call from me, and then my voicemail.
Calls, right?
We do get people calling back me, hey, we missed a call from you, and I'll get somebody from my office be like, Bob from XYZ Media said he just missed a call from you, Mike. I'm like, okay, every week at 9:30. These will happen. Just let them know that I'm excited to have them on the webinar, and to remind them about it. So, but yeah, so it's a quick little voicemail where I'm saying, just reminding that they registered. It's starting in a half hour from now, and hey, we've got 800 people registered, and the room only holds 500, so show up a few minutes early or something like that.
Right.
And so,
have you tested the times at all?
We bounced around a lot initially. Right now, we're doing every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific.
I think we had our best one week, and then we're like, well, let's just do it at this time again. And then it went well, so we just left it there.
Mm-hmm. Like I know a lot of people say Thursday is the day you start your ads Monday, and then Thursday is the day. For us, it's been Wednesday 9 a.m. And
just got to test it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it also falls into the category of things that we could test at a different time, but I just don't want to mess with what's working right now.
At 8x ROI, man, just keep freaking doing it. Like, and turn it evergreen as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's the number one thing that anyone who's in the game will tell us after they hear our story. They're like, "So when are you going to evergreen it?
Yeah,
are you going to evergreen it? Have you evergreened it yet? Is that evergreen yet, Mike?" Like, I'm like, no. So it's something we want to do, and there's been like 2 weeks where, like, because of scheduling or vacations and stuff, that we did that and it just didn't work. So like there's a whole nother process we've got to go through to make sure that we're not screwing something else up.
You're 100% right. Going evergreen is evergreen. There's my awesome
Yosemite Sam impression.
Yeah. But going evergreen is its whole other strategy, man. We get a lot of clients who call me up like, "Hey, I want you to build this an evergreen webinar funnel." Sorry, like, pass. Like, if you're not, because you've now instituted 12 to 15 other variables outside of the webinar message itself,
right,
that you have to test. We've had a couple that hit it out of the park right out of the gate, but like, there's a lot of others that don't, even if you're successful, even if it, you're 8-to-1 ROI and then you go evergreen, there's no guarantee.
Yeah. And something I want to share that I think would be useful to some people is that, so when the very first webinar we did for this service, it went great. Like, we didn't sell anything on it. Like, we went to lunch afterwards and we saw the first sale come through. We're like screaming in the restaurant about our first sale that we proved the model. But like afterwards, like Anthony tells me, he's like, "Dude, that was great, man. Like, that was like the best one I've ever done." Because I've done other webinars in the past, not for this, but it's like, "This is the best one." I'm like, "Great, cool. Let's evergreen it." "So you're saying I don't need to do it?" He's like, "No, dude, I think we need to, like, there's more work to be done with that." I'm like, damn it. Because like I've always heard people say,
we tried to like do a recording with it right away.
Yeah,
and
it
just
didn't
work. So
I've heard people say, like, you got to do it live every week for a year, and then you can evergreen it. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, BS. Like, I'm better than that. Like, I'm just gonna like knock this out of the park and do it." And I know people have been successful. I know Dan Henry is basically, that's his story. God bless him. But I've learned so much about my audience. I've gotten so much better as a presenter. There's just so many good things that have come out of that. And I mean, it also helps that we're making money. So it's like basically the most productive 2 hours I could spend in my entire week is doing this now, which like makes it easier. Like, if we weren't converting, I would have already gotten burnt out and like crushed by this. So I would just say, like, if you're thinking that like you're going to do it once and evergreen it, like, just give it a shot. I mean, we are close to the point where we want to evergreen this thing. But we've only been at this for like 3-4 months now. So like I've done a bunch of them. We've done like 30 some webinars, and like now I feel good about it. Whereas like if I would have done it the first one out of the gates, I would have said it was a failure. We wouldn't have got these results, and we would have been robbed ourselves of the opportunity to make all these other small adjustments on the way that have really made the difference between us making a business out of this and it being something that was like a lot of the other things that we've tried just fell to the wayside and got more of it.
We made some significant changes to the content in the webinar too, like the secrets and even your story at the beginning. We first started, we saw a successful webinar, we copied a lot of what was there, and then we reviewed it and started looking for opportunities where we could squeeze in things that we've used on other webinars that just work better, and then added a little bit more value, and that seemed to make a big difference as well.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, there's just a million things that you can test with a webinar, and I'm glad you guys stuck to it, because like obviously doing 8-to-1 return on your ad spend, I mean, that's nothing to bat an eye at. I mean, that's impressive. So a couple other things. What are your typical sales percentages, live versus follow-up replay?
We probably do more live now, right? And then for a long time we weren't getting anything on after. It's like if they didn't buy that day, they weren't going to buy. And is there something that we specifically changed that's helped with that, you think? Or
I think what it's actually is like, and we don't do a great job of tracking this, but we do a weekly live webinar, right? And we're running our ads, and people, like, I don't think it's a secret to some people that we're doing this every week. And so some of the sales that are coming through aren't necessarily from the current week right now. Right. And so I feel like a lot of the follow-up ones are coming from previous weeks. Somebody's been to our webinar 2 or 3 times and is finally making that decision. Like, we had a call from somebody this week from back in November who said, like, my wife and I have been like talking about it and like waiting for the right time to do it. And we said, screw it, we're just going to put it on a credit card now and go. So like, there's definitely that side of it, but like, we initially, like this last week was probably the most we've ever had like on the webinar itself. So it's been a big deal. So like that gets a little fuzzy when you attribute it back to like our ad spend and like saying, okay, we spent this much this week, but we had this many sales. But like we could absolutely drive ourselves nuts trying to really attribute and then go back and like redo numbers from like 3 months ago based off of a sale that happened this week. Like how can you really attribute that ad spend to this sale? So like, we just gave up on trying to do that. So we're just like, listen, if the sale comes in during this week, it's getting attributed towards this week of ad spend.
As it should. I mean, it's still your same efforts. I mean, you're still doing the live webinar. One of the times we were running weekly live webinars every week, we would reinvite our existing list, and just reinvite them to the same damn webinar. And it worked. And we had some people who told us, yeah, I watched it 7 times before I bought. Right. And it's, that's just part of it. And it's an excellent list building exercise. Frank Kern, I think he produced some sort of report that said people who you acquire their email address through a webinar is like X% more valuable than any other like free report or whatever. I need to go back and find that because that was pretty cool. But yeah, keep reinviting them, man. That's what I tell everybody, just every week.
Yeah, we haven't even really done much of that. Like we're doing that this week. Actually, before we got on the call today, I sent out a reinvite email, and we've watched, as we're talking here, about 40, 45 people re-register for this webinar. That's tomorrow. And because our ad traffic's been so strong, like we've kind of been using our reinvites as like we're having a slow registrant week. Let's pump that up.
Right.
So
that or ManyChat.
That and ManyChat too, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, I feel like ManyChat's another frontier that we'll get into a little bit more seriously because like I'm on Molly's list for her program, and I get so many messages from her. Just as a constant reminder of like, you need to message people. If they're on your list, message them. And I forget who said it, but it's like either they're going to buy or opt in, or they're going to get off your list. Mm-hmm. It holds true for ManyChat, and that's what maybe Facebook will lay the smackdown on that at some point. But for right now, that's the opportunity that we have, and people will be complaining one day about these are the good old days when you could still get away with that stuff.
Awesome, guys. So now you guys are doing 8x return on your ad spend every single week, and you're just making it rain, which is awesome. So what's next? What's next on the docket for you?
I mean, for us, we kind of have two initiatives. One being like going into the evergreen direction. The other big one is JVs. Like we've figured out cold traffic, and scaling that is, like I mentioned before, a big opportunity for us. But JVs is a kind of another category for us, where like what's cool about this product is we can exist on either end of somebody else's value ladder. So if somebody sells a Facebook ads course, like reviews can be the lead-in to help their students sell more Facebook ads. And guess what? If their course has helped a bunch of people build Facebook ads agencies, our course can be a great upsell to the people that they have in their agency. So like we get to straddle on either side. So it's a no-brainer for anybody who has a course teaching agencies or creatives or copywriting or email marketing or any of that kind of stuff, because this just helps them get more of what they are teaching them, or helps them offer an upsell to the stuff that they've already sold. And
yeah, so a lot of times there's so much education required for like Facebook ad and stuff, right? To get somebody to understand that they should do it, and then why you should do it. With reviews, they just get it. A lot of business owners, they've tried to fix this problem on their own. They've sent emails to, hand-picked customers that they know are going to give them good reviews, or their family or their friends, and they don't get the results they're looking for. So when you're able to say, hey, I'm going to flood, your reviews situation with 5-star reviews on Google, Facebook, Yelp, they're excited by that. So it's huge.
That's awesome, guys. Well, dude, I'm super proud of you guys, super pumped for the success that you guys have been having with your webinar. And it's just nothing but big things from here. So that's really exciting. So I'm super glad that you guys reached out and kind of shared with me what those results were. And thanks for giving love to, this podcast. And do you have any parting thoughts with anything else anything you'd like to learn, anything more that you'd like to share?
I think one of the things we've been looking at is we've been trying to test some new ads, and we had some ads that were producing, $3 to $5 cost per lead. But when I actually looked at the conversion to sale, it was higher than maybe a $6 or $8 ad. So just making sure that, we would have killed those, put all our money towards the $3 or $4 ads. Yeah, we're getting more people, but it's costing us more to get an actual sale. We're starting now to hit more on pain points associated with people. So like, talk about burnout.
Yeah. So just like one of the ads that's worked really well for us is, talking to a web design or digital marketing owner that's just burnt out on clients and burnt out on like doing a lot of work but not making any money. Like it's all the stories that we've experienced and like go in and out of all the time, and it was in our own agency, in our own experience. And there's a little bit longer video format, kind of just like breaking it down. And yeah, like that ad had a higher cost per registrant, but it had our best cost per sale. Mm-hmm. And it's just like we easily would have turned that off just if we were only looking at how much it was costing us to get that person's butt in the seat. But we're attracting with that ad a higher quality person. So
I'd say that, and then the social proof, right? Like that's what's also helped conversion along the way. Is just the more people that we can get video testimonials for, the more screenshots that we take from the group, the emails that we get, we can put those all on the page, and I think that makes it a lot stronger.
Yeah, and we've figured out ways to kind of automate some of that stuff. So when somebody signs up for a course, like there's certain things that they've got to go through, and one of those steps is to invite them to leave a video testimonial. Like we just automated that piece, and now we just have emails popping up in our inbox saying, you got a new testimonial, which is like huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're getting video testimonials, people who are getting leads from your webinar?
Leads from the webinar, people who are getting results from the training that they've gone through, like our paying clients that have gone through and now seen results. So it's really, really cool.
That's awesome, guys. I will say one thing, making sure that you're tracking the cost per sale on your ads. We've seen that happen more times than not. The low cost per lead is actually a higher cost per sale. Mm-hmm. The interview that we just finished up with Jon Tarr, we talked about pain-based ads versus desire-based ads. Mm-hmm. And so I'll tease it here so you guys can go, everyone can listening right now can go listen to that episode. But there's a huge difference between the two. And we talk about the two markets that respond to each of them. And so I think what you said, AJ, was the pain-based ads were performing better.
They were, yeah.
It's exactly what we talked about on the on that interview. So
what you described is the whole value ladder. That's more the desire base, right? Like I want to get more sales. I want this new thing I can put at the beginning. Whereas the pain, those people are hungry for a solution. They
have the pain right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you can, so connecting on the desire, you get a lot of wishful thinkers, and there's no commitment with the desire. When there's a pain, you've already attached yourself to a commitment. Like when you've connected with them on a pain that they're currently having, that's already one commitment that you've got with them. And it's like, okay, like now they're more committed to solving it than somebody who's like, oh, I'd love to make $1 million, but I'm not really, there's no pressing need for me to do it right now.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, cool, Joel. We're super grateful for you. And this podcast has been amazing resource for us as we've become more and more of webinar junkies ourselves. So.
If you guys want to check out any of it, it's just agencymastermind.com/learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's the opt-in page for the webinar. You can register there, and then you'll be able to see all of the stuff we've got going on with ManyChat and email and so forth.
Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah. So connect with Mike, connect with AJ. How else can they connect with you? So you said you got your website there, but what other links can you share?
Yeah, I'd say when you head up, look us up on Facebook for the Agency Mastermind group. It's a free group of agencies. We're always hanging out in there. And then our webinar registration page at agencymastermind.com/learn. And then if you want to check out our agency, it's anchorwave.com. And check us out, stalk us, don't like us, see what's up. And maybe you'll use reviews to help grow your biz too. So.
Awesome. Appreciate it, fellas. It's always great to catch up with you guys. For those of you listening right now, be sure to hit up Mike, hit up AJ, let them know you found them through this Sold with Webinars podcast. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to giving you the next one. You can also follow and watch the behind-the-scenes look at how I'm personally launching a brand new 6- and 7-figure product from scratch at soldwithwebinars.com/TV. And if you'd like to come hang out with other fellow experts, join our Facebook group at soldwithwebinars.com/experts. Join us next time, and I'll see you there.